Hello everybody. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing computing mean, median, and mode in Rguroo and computing 5-number summaries, range, IQR, and plotting box plots in Rguroo. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. All right, so we're going to start with this example here. So we're going to find the mean, median, and mode of this data set using Rguroo. So let me go ahead and stop my share and go to Rguroo. So the first thing you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to download the data set off Blackboard. So this is the first data set from the notes. So we can go ahead and download this link here. All right, we downloaded it. And now going to Rguroo, I can go to Data, Data Import, Import Data Set, choose my file from my Downloads folder. And then remember this first line header. If there's a title in the first line, then you want to say that there's a header in the first line. If there wasn't, then you would click no header. But all the data sets I give you will have a title in the first line. And then we're going to hit upload. And then our data set has been uploaded. So now I want to find the mean, median, and mode. So I'm going to go to Analytics and Analysis and Numerical Summaries. Now Rguroo for the mode does not give you multiple modes if the dataset has multiple modes. So you're only going to find the mode on here for the project. Otherwise, you're just going to find mean and median on here, and you can find the mode by hand. It's just the most common data value. So I'm going to click on my dataset, click on my variable, and move it over to selected. Then I'm going to go to univariate, and then I'm going to check mean and median for the project. When you're doing the mode, you would check the mode box. But for right now, we're just going to do mean and median, and then hit the eyeball. And I can easily look at this data set here and see that my most common data value is 2 and 4. So those are both my modes. So you can usually find the mode by hand, but Rguroo, like I said, won't give you multiple modes if there are modes, so multiple modes, so you always want to do the mode by hand. So I get my mean is about 6.1 and my median is about 5.5. And then if you wanted to save that, then you would just put a title here and save it. But that's normally not necessary. All right, let's do another example like that. So we're going to find the mean, median, and mode of this data set now. So same thing, but we're not going to find the mode on Rguroo. We're just going to find that by hand. So looking at this data set, there is no repeated data value, so there is no mode for this data set. So let's now find the mean and median on Rguroo. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out here. And if you want to delete a data set, you can right click and hit delete. I'll delete this one too, that's a little old. All right, so let's go ahead and download data set number 2 here. And then go to data import, import data set. Let me actually stop my share, make sure I clicked on the right one. I believe I did. Okay, we should be good. And then choose files. Pick the file from my downloads folder. And then once again, for all my data sets, you can leave the header alone. Just double check on the newtons that there is or isn't a title, and then hit the upload button. There's my data set. And I'll go under analysis and numerical summaries. Select my data set. Select the variable and move it over to selected, univariate, and then mean and median, and hit the eyeball. And our mean is about 11.6, and our median is 5.5. Okay, so that is finding the mean and median for traditional data sets. But now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing with frequency tables. So let me go ahead and screen share and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to do this example here, same kind of question. So for the mode of these, you can look for the value with the highest frequency. That's 7 here, so 7 is the mode. Since 7 has the highest frequency of 4. So once again, you're going to want to find the mode by hand because our Rguroo will only give you one mode. If the dataset has multiple modes, then you won't get the answer correct. So we're going to find the mean and median of this dataset on our Rguroo. So let's go ahead and share my screen here. All right, so let me go ahead and download this dataset, dataset 3. Go to our Rguroo. So I'm going to close this out here. Close this out. Right click and delete. All right, and then I'm going to go to data import, import dataset, choose my file from my downloads folder. Once again, keep the header on the first line. That's fine for all of my data sets. Just double check on Newton that there is actually a title. Otherwise, you're going to have to change it to no header. Hit upload. And there is my data set. So now I'm going to go to analysis and numerical summaries again. Select my data set. Now we have two variables here. So I want to move the data values over to selected. And I want to select the frequency variable down here. So the data value column gets selected, moved over with the right arrow, and then the frequency variable gets selected down here. That's the only difference. Go to univariate, select mean and median. Once again, if you needed the mode, you could select it here, but you need to find the mode by hand unless you're doing it on the project. Hit the eyeball, and our mean is about 5.3, median is 5.5. All right, let's do one more like that. I believe there's one more like that. Let me see. Yes, we do have one more like that, so we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so same thing. So for this data set, I see my highest frequency of 4s on two different data values. So I have two modes at 3.6 and 6.6. So this is one of those examples where if you had checked mode in our Rguroo, it would give you the wrong answer. It would not give you both modes. So that's why you need to be doing the mode by hand, except for on the project. So let's go ahead and now do this in our Rguroo, find the mean and the median. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So let me go ahead and close this out first. Right click and delete here. And then data import, import data set, choose my file from my downloads folder. So we're on dataset 4 now. Once again, the header in the first line is fine for my data sets. Hit upload, and there's our data set. And then analysis, numerical summaries. Select the data set, select the data value. So up here, you're going to select the data value, and then down here, you're going to select the frequency. So your data value variable should go over here, and then the frequency should be selected down here. Univariate, mean, median, eyeball. So our mean is about 5, median is also 5. Okay, so that's finding the mean and median in our Rguroo. So now we're going to kind of change gears a little bit. We're going to focus now on finding the 5-number summary, the IQR, the range, and also Boxplots. Let me go ahead and stop my share here. Let me go ahead here and go to PowerPoint again. All right, so here's our first example that we're going to do here. So we want to find the 5-number summary, the range, and the IQR, or the interquartile range. Then we're going to determine what the outliers are and make a box plot. So we're going to basically be doing almost all of this in our Rguroo. So let me go ahead and stop my share here. And then we'll go ahead to our Rguroo. All right, so let me go ahead and close this out here. Right click and delete. Okay, so dataset 5, I'm going to go ahead and download it. And then I'm going to go to data import, import dataset, choose my file from my downloads folder here. The header on the first line still fine for my datasets. Hit the upload button. There's our dataset. All right, and then I'm going to go to analysis and numerical summaries. So right now I'm going to just find the 5-number summary, the range, and the IQR. So I'm going to select my data set, and then I'm going to move my data variable over, and then univariate. And so the IQR, I'm sorry, the 5-number summary is the minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. And then the range and IQR are up here. Hit the eyeball, and then it pops out all of those numbers for you. So that's fairly straightforward. Now, you have to calculate outliers by hand. Those formulas and stuff are in the notes. That's not an Rguroo thing. So we're not going to cover that here. All that with the work and steps is in the notes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, well, one thing I want you guys to notice first, actually, before I move on, the range is also the maximum minus the minimum. The IQR is the Q3 minus Q1. So the other thing we're going to do here now is we're going to make a box plot on here for this data set. So I'm going to go under plots, create plot, and box plot. I'm going to select my data set. Then I'm going to move the variable over here. And then I'm going to check horizontal so that the box plot appears horizontally instead of being vertical. It just makes it a little easier to read. And then hit the eyeball. And there is my box plot. And if you wanted to copy it onto a project or anything, you would just right click and hit copy image. And then just kind of interpreting this a little bit. So the left edge here is the first quartile, the middle is the median, the right edge here is the third quartile, and then the bars here extend out to the highest and lowest values that aren't outliers. So after we calculated the outliers, we got one outlier here that was plotted as a dot at 22. So this right whisker here extends to 14, which is the highest value that's not an outlier. And then the left whisker here extends to the lowest value, since there was no left outliers, which appears to be 0, I believe. It should extend to the minimum. No, it's 1. Sorry, it extends to 1. So basically, your whiskers only go up to the highest values or lowest values that aren't outliers. Like I said, how we got this outlier, the steps for that and the formulas, that's all step by step in the notes. So you guys can follow that step by step in the class notes. That does not use Rguroo, that just has a formula. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another example like that. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing for this data set now. So let me go ahead and stop my share and go ahead back to Rguroo. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead here and close this out. Right click and delete. So now we need dataset 6. So I'm going to download that. Data import, import dataset, choose my file, my downloads folder here. Header on the first line is fine always for my datasets. Just double check it on Newton. Then hit upload. Perfect. And then we're going to do the 5-number summary, IQR, and range first. So analytics, analysis, numerical summaries. Select the data set, move the variable over, univariate, file number summary is the minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. And then the range in IQR, hit the eyeball. So then I get all these values here. Notice that the range, once again, is the maximum minus the minimum. The IQR is Q3 minus Q1. Okay, so let's now make a box plot. So plots, create plot, and box plot. Select the data set. Select the variable. Check horizontal just to make it a little easier to read. Hit the eyeball. And there's our box plot. So once again, kind of interpreting this. So this left side here is our Q1. The middle line here is our median. The right side here is our Q3. So we have two outliers here. So once again, all the math and the steps for that is all in the notes of how we got those two numbers to be outliers. But like I said, that's step by step in the notes. That does not involve Rguroo. It's just a formula. So you guys can follow that in the notes. So we have two outliers here. So at, I believe, 3 and 45. Yeah. So these whiskers here only extend out to the highest values that are not those outliers. So they don't actually extend out to the minimum and maximum here because these actually happen to both be outliers once we calculated it. So the whiskers here only extend to the highest and lowest values that aren't outliers. Okay, so let's now do one more example, and then that'll be it for this video. So we're going to do an example now with frequency table. Now you can't make a box plot for frequency tables on Rguroo. So the box plot for this, I drew it in the notes and described like how I created it in the notes. So you guys can follow that in the notes. That's not our Rguroo thing, so I won't include it in here. So that, like I said, that's all in the notes, and the outlier calculations are all in the notes too, with the formulas and the process for that. So I'm just going to show you the Rguroo stuff on here. So the file number summary, the range, and the IQR is what we're going to find for this frequency table. So let me go to Rguroo here. And then I'm also going to discuss real quick a couple things with Newton for these assignments. So let me close all this out here. And then right click and delete. Okay, so let's download data set number 7 off of Blackboard. And then data import, and import data set. Choose the file from my downloads. Header on the first line's fine. Upload. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the same place, analytics, analysis, and numerical summaries. I'm going to select my data set. I'm going to move remember the variable with the data values is selected, and the variable with the frequencies is selected down here. And then univariate, my 5-number summary, minimum Q1, median Q3, maximum, and then my range and IQR. And then hit the eyeball. And there we go. So once again, notice the range is the maximum minus the minimum. The IQR is Q3 minus Q1. And that gives us all our values. And once again, the box plot was made by hand. That's in the notes. The step-by-step for that, along with the calculations for the outliers. That's all in the notes. None of that requires Rguroo, so it won't be in this video. That will all just be in the notes for you to follow. Okay, so one last thing I want to discuss here. So let me actually pull up, I believe this Newton should be a good example. I just want to show you real quick what some of the problems on Newton are going to look like. Well, actually, first of all, before I do that, oops. In this section, So section 2.7.3 has downloadable datasets. 2.6.1 and 2.6.2 do not. So I'm going to explain that in a moment of how you're going to do that in Rguroo. These you can just do the download CSV and then do the same process like we have on some of the other sections. But we go back here. So for 2.6.2, and this also goes for 2.6.1, it doesn't give you downloadable data sets. So what you're going to have to do here is, I don't want this objective. Let me change. Oh, okay, never mind. Let me go to a different one here. I'm going to go to this one just so I can show you what I mean. It's not showing me what I want, so I'm going to go through my end. Let me stop my share for a second so I can show you what I'm talking about. I'll go to section 2.6.2. Like I said, 2.6.1 is also like this, but all right. So it might give you something like this. So this is not downloadable. So that means you would have to enter this in by hand. So I'll show you how to do that here. So you can go to, if there's not already one open, so I'll close this out just so there's not, then you would go to data import and create new data set. That's fine. And then you can change the names of these if you want. Just make sure you don't use any spaces or parentheses in your variable names or it won't take it. So just make sure you keep it simple. So I think it had value for the first variable. Then you can hit this 3-line thing here and hit rename and then frequency. And then you can enter in all of your values. So let me see here. All right, so this is the table here. So I'm going to enter in all of these values into the table. So you can just start typing in the numbers to get to the next cell. The easy way to do that is hit enter and then the down arrow. And you're going to keep doing that until you get all the data entered. It's optional to change the title of the columns. I tend to do it, but you are not required to. Oops. Okay. And then you can save it as whatever you want, put a name for it here, and then just hit save as. And then once you have it over here, then you're just at the same place you were after you imported it, continue the rest of the steps. Similar idea goes for a regular data set. So like, for example, something like this, you would just enter in this long string of numbers into a single column. I will show you what I mean here. So I'm going to close this one out. Close this out too. This. I'm going to just delete this one here. And you only have to do this if it's not downloadable. It's only a couple problems, and then there shouldn't be a lot of numbers to enter. So data import and create new data set. And then once again, if you want to name your variable, you can. So you would hit the 3-line thing and then hit rename. Just make sure, like I said, no spaces, no parentheses. Just keep it simple. So data. And then go ahead and enter in all your numbers. And once again, you hit enter and the down arrow to get from number to number. Oops. And then once you get it all entered, once again, you just title it and then hit save as and proceed in the same way. So you will see some of those in the homework. Just be aware of that's how you enter it by hand. But the other ones you should be able to download. And that is it for this section. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.